Hi, everybody. Welcome to Work in the Verse. I'm Rick.
And I'm Thor.
In a previous video, I said I was going to live vicariously through Thor since he has a Quest 3 and I'm too cheap to buy one. Okay, Thor, I've got a lot of questions since I've seen a bunch of YouTubers talk about their issues, and I'm wondering if you've had them too. I'm curious about battery life, how you feel about the head strap, what gaming is like compared to the Quest 2, and finally, would you recommend the Quest 3 to others?
Go for it, Rick. I'm ready.
All right, so I heard that some people are having issues with battery life, even to the point where they have to keep it plugged in and it still drains the battery, especially in mixed reality mode.
I think the users who are seeing this problem are the ones who are in their headset for a long time. The casual user is not going to see it as much. There's no doubt it drains fast, but I'm also not going to be in the headset 3 or 4 hours at a time. I just can't do it because I have too many other things going on. I mean, it does definitely drain faster, especially when you're using things like the pass-through. It just takes a lot more horsepower, and I think people are just not expecting that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess for me in a scenario, if I was going to be working on a computer, because you talked about how that's quite feasible to work with your monitors and work on your keyboard and actually have work on a big screen. So, I mean, I guess that wouldn't be as draining as the pass-through mode when you're doing stuff in that.
Yeah, and so what I look at it too is, you really have two types of users. You've got your consumer, and then you've got the people who are obviously doing this for a living, where they're, reviewing the tech and stuff like that. So it's worthwhile for sure that they're bringing up these issues, but it may not be that big of a deal.
So we talked about the head strap, one of my big beefs with the Quest 2. Have you experienced discomfort? And if so, have you tried the Bobovr VR strap as an alternative?
I haven't tried any other head straps yet, but I can say this, I don't like the Quest 3 head strap after a while. So about a half an hour or a little bit longer, and I can actually feel my forehead tingling. And I talked about that in another video. And I don't really know why it's doing that. It's maybe too tight or just where it's sitting, but it is bizarre. And when I'm in a little bit longer, I could feel my head starting to hurt. Like it's not quite a headache, but it's just sitting there awkwardly.
Yeah. I get that with the Quest 2 head strap. I get that constantly, and that's actually one of the reasons I don't spend more time in it. And so just the thought that the stock strap is not that much better in the new one is kind of annoying, and because I don't really want to go spend the extra for an elite strap or one of these extra. I shouldn't have to, right? Like, especially the amount of money that they're charging now. For me, $649 Canadian. We talked about this in our last video, but anyways. So yeah. All right, well, let's move on to some questions about software and games. Have you noticed any resolution issues with older games that haven't been updated for Quest 3?
The games that I'm playing in particular, mostly sport related and also kind of social related, I guess. So that would be the mini golf, table tennis. I'm also doing virtual tennis. I've done the body combat. All of those, honestly, they look good. It's going to depend on the developer and if they invest the time and effort into better graphics. And if they do that, it's just going to be a much more enjoyable experience. I especially noticed the blurriness in the home environment when I installed Lord of the Rings on the Quest 3. For the Quest 2, it looks amazing. You feel like you're there and you're just blown away. No doubt about it, though, it's blurry in that environment. It just doesn't feel the same, though, as it does in the Quest 3. And because of that, I actually went back to the new Quest 3 experience because it's just better.
So it sounds like they still need to do a lot of work in the software and games and things like that to actually realize the better graphics. There's not a lot of showcase items that really blows you away in terms of the clarity of a game, but the interface and all that is definitely a better experience, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm starting to see where a lot of people are starting to say they launched this headset too early. They don't have any apps that really showcase the Quest 3. And I'd have to agree. There's the one that's called First Encounters, and frankly, it's kind of boring. It looks cool, though. I had one teenager who was over here giving the Quest 3 a try because he's done a lot of the Quest 2. And first of all, just so you all know, he was blown away by it. He's like, oh, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. And so he was just floored how cool it was. For me, since I'm older, I'm like, the gimmick kind of wears off right away because it's very repetition.
Anyone who knows the console industry knows that whenever they put one out, they always have one game that, the showcase, right? It's the system seller, right? And I don't understand why. I mean, I guess there's a game that, what is it called? Wrath of Asgard or whatever the heck it's called.
Asgard, yes,
Yeah.
Asgard.
Yeah, that was supposed to be it, but it wasn't ready. And it's a shame because, like, when you buy an item like that, you want to at least see one thing that's fully realized that makes you go, yeah, I can see the future with these games. But it sounds like they missed it. And people bought it. They saw some things. They're really excited. But as time has gone on, I see people a little bit more critical of the Quest 2. Like, they may have been blown away by the first experience, but probably as time went on, they don't see enough yet, right? It reminds me of this game, Starfield, that's out, a lot of hype. Everyone loved it at the beginning, but as time went on, people started seeing more cracks in it over time, right?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm going to do the old Wayne's World thing, going back in time. I think similar things happened when Quest 2 came out. When I went in first, and they announced it in October, so I think we have some tradition here. We're always launching our headsets in October. I actually went ahead and pre-purchased it, and then I started reading things and hearing things. I actually bailed on it, and I waited a year before I got into it. So what we're having here is early adopter phase. Yeah. And a lot of people jump in going, oh yeah, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be awesome, without realizing that it's going to take some time. I think Asgard's Wrath 2 is going to be that killer app. I've seen some reviews on it, and people are just blown away by it. And this is going to work out to Meta's advantage because it will be ready for the holidays. So for that next wave of people saying, oh, should I get it? I think they'll be just fine.
Okay.
And the best part is, too, if you wait till January, you have to like January 24th to still get that free game, if that's kind of what is enough to motivate you to do it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, early adopter, this is their third iteration of the Quest. So by now, early adopter, it's sort of past. Anyways, yeah. But you're right, though. I mean, it's early in the year in terms of people adopting it early, getting the first versions of everything and not waiting till a few months near Christmas. Okay, well, let's get back to talking about the software of the Quest 3. Have you seen any glitches with your depth sensor or your play area? Like, I've heard that some people have had problems having to reset their room a lot. So what have you seen? Have you seen anything like that?
Well, let me take a step back. For the Quest 2 versus the Quest 3, the Quest 3 has been a lot better. All in all, in the whole experience, the setup, and also even remembering. Now, has it forgotten a few times? Yeah, but since I've done the Quest 2, I'm like, no big deal. This is kind of cool anyway. So I got to do it. I haven't been annoyed like sometimes I was with the Quest 2. That was very frustrating.
But so other than that, any weird things, any weird glitches that have happened?
Playing table tennis, when all of a sudden the table jumps and moves to a different place, where all of a sudden it's up here, up at eye level, or it's way down like you're a giant. So I've had that, and I've had that with some better lighting, at least I thought. Again, not great, but just some of those oddities where you're just like, oh, okay, this is going to be hard to play. But at the same time, it's kind of amusing.
All right, so let's just go on to some general observations, general questions. So what do you enjoy most about the Quest 3's form factor and performance?
I think for the performance, it just feels smoother than the Quest 2. And, going back to the Quest 2, you just get used to it. You just kind of accept that, it's going to be a little glitchy here. It's going to give you kind of a little jag or a jig when you're not expecting it. So for the Quest 3, I haven't seen that. Overall, it's just a smoother experience. So I would say it's because of the new chipset.
What do you feel has been improved in terms of existing things that you've used in terms of the experience?
The pass-through, through and through. It makes me say, wow, we're looking at the future. We're at the early stages still. And so, again, let's call this the early adoption phase. It's not perfect yet by any means. but it's so much more than it's ever been before that I can say, yeah, this is going to change. So the next generation will be significantly even better than this generation. So for those who are saying, hey, just wait, don't get the Quest 3 now and get the Quest 4, you can do that if you're patient enough to wait another year or two, probably maybe even 3 years. The Quest 2, when it first launched, it wasn't a great device. It was impressive, but it wasn't great until they started adding things like being able to do things like with your computer. So virtual desktop, for example,
Right.
it just wasn't possible. And once that started happening, all of a sudden people started going, you know what? There's some real potential here.
So it sounds like you think that there's a larger runway for them to improve for the Quest 3 than there was for the Quest 2.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just like with consoles, when they first come out, you never get to know what the device is capable of until developers figure out how to actually make it go beyond the original expectations. And in an upcoming video, you're going to see me talk about some practical things that you can do with the Quest 3 that you may not have even thought of being able to do. And one of those is going to be a new app that allows you to literally bring your computer anywhere you go. I can literally move somewhere else in my location as long as I'm on the same network, and I can have it follow with me so I can always be looking at it. So maybe I'm checking the stock market, or maybe I'm running some particular application that has to do with my job. It's amazing that I can do that without being disconnected.
Right.
So much potential there for that.
So, okay. So, given all that, at this point, would you recommend the Quest 3 to others right now?
I'm going to stick with what I've said before in the other videos. If you're the type of person who says, you know what, I'm an early adopter, I like seeing how things grow, seeing how things change, I want to get in there and experiment, you'll love it because it is that revolutionary compared to other headsets. If you're the type of person who says, you know what, I've already got a Quest 2, I'm in the headset every once in a while, but it's not my go-to, I'm not in it every day, I don't think you're going to see that much of a difference, except for the pass-through. But if you're just a casual user of it, you're just like, yeah, it was kind of fun to put on, I wouldn't recommend the Quest 3 at this point. I think you'd be disappointed.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. Living vicariously through Thor right now. I won't have a chance to use it, so I'm going to have to just take your word for it. Well, everybody like and subscribe this video, and hopefully you'll see more stuff coming out soon.
All right, until next time, keep working the verse.